What's going on, guys? It's Matthew from Labor to Wealth, and today I'm gonna go ahead and switch it up. I found actually a cool app for the iPad, so I could actually do a face cam and a live screen recording, which I'm stupid excited about. I've been working all weekend trying to figure out something I could do to finally make it more interactive and live with you guys, that I can actually draw in and talk as I'm drawing in these things. Because I was realizing last week I was having to pre-record videos and talk over them, and it's really hard to teach and to grasp and be interactive when I have to record it first and then talk over it afterward. But I'm hoping today it would be a completely revamp of the entire price action analysis, and we can genuinely dive in for the rest of the week and actually get nitty gritty with these details, because we're diving into them live. So let's go ahead and jump into the charts. And again, I'm on the USDT trading pair on TradingView. So you can see last week I remember talking to you guys about the two possible scenarios. I said one scenario would be us, and I'm actually going to go ahead and do the price path in. I believe I said that we were going to do something like this. We could see, oh no, I got to delete that little thing. I believe I said this is one of the price paths that we could come down, stay within this little range, get above it, possibly get back up into this range over here. But as you can see, we definitely did not do that, okay? The second scenario that I said that we were going to do is actually something like this, and this is actually what played out. So our second probable scenario ended up playing out. So this was the rounded bottom that we talked about. I said we could potentially come back up here, right, and continue to keep playing within this range. But I said if we fall below this line right here, right, this line right here, if we fell below that, more than likely we're going to come back down here and we're going to use this line as resistance, right? And obviously, right, if we come back and eventually tag this line, which I'll actually do like this, actually accentuate that line a little bit to be more realistic, and then I'll actually go ahead and bring this line over a little bit, make this thicker to make it more prevalent. Boom. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and actually circle this as well. This area right here, or whenever price action wants to come back up and test this, what would that be, 16,450 to 16,400 or 16,500 resistance line. As soon as we come back up and we interact with that level, it'll give us the edge, right? So right now we really have no edge. We could literally just drop from here. Like we literally could take, actually no, delete that, take the brush off, take this edge. We could literally just continue to keep falling down here in this range, okay? Come back down, maybe even tag this trend line, which would be about right there at 15,200, make a slight lower low, fake people out to actually really dropping below and going to 11,000 or something like that. Or we could, get another little decent bounce, roll over, come back up, tag this little line, maybe this range right here between, what would that be, 16,000 to 16,400. We come back up in here, tag this line, and then come back down and make lower lows. So right now we have to play to the edge. We have to play to the edges that are currently in the market. So with this rollover scenario, we can see how we've been continuing to keep getting price suppression underneath this major resistance line at 17,000. So this 17,000 resistance we continue to keep getting rejected on, or rejected off of, for the past for the past 10 days now, because we started the 11th and today's the 21st. So yeah, 10 days of resistance that we formed underneath that 17,000 level. So that was a prevalent resistance that we could not get above. Now, price action usually wants to fake people out before they makes an actual confirmation move. So I wouldn't be surprised if this little fall that we had over the weekend was just kind of faking people out to the downside, and I would not be surprised if we seen something like this happen and play out, just because the traditional markets still this morning haven't opened and there's still neutrality in the markets. And like I said last week, it doesn't look like the immediate short term the traditional market wants to roll over. So I mean, we could see a potential rollover later on this week or early next week, or maybe even the end of next week, guys. Like with the DXY kind of just playing around with its range and wanting to bottom out and remain neutral, and with the traditional markets still wanting to eyeball its way up. Actually, I can go ahead and jump over there to kind of show you guys my understanding. So you can see we're kind of getting that kind of bounce that I talked about. I don't think this will be a V-shaped recovery. Like, I don't believe it'll come back up here to, man, I wish I had a cursor. Let me actually go to an arrow maybe. Would that be easier to show you guys if I had an arrow? Yeah, somewhere within like this range. I wouldn't see a V-shaped recovery happening immediately. I mean, that would be a pretty aggressive move for the DXY. I would assume that we'd come back up and continue to keep trailing within somewhere within this little range, this little green box area, the golden circle area. We might even get a top out like I had that price path at 107. Continue to keep playing within the 105 to 107 range for a little bit until blasting back up to the 110 range. I could potentially see that happening. So again, with that happening with the DXY, the DXY kind of wants to play around and doing weird things. I don't think the DXY. I think the DXY is getting close to a recent short-term top. So with that being said, with the 4-hour looking like it's almost bottomed and it's within that golden box zone that usually you see some bounces off of as we're coming back down into that range. And then you can see on the daily's curled up a little bit and it's not completely rolled over. It's still in the halfway point of the neutral control zone of the RSI. Then we have the weekly. The weekly's topped out, but it still has a little bit more room to wiggle up some more, which again, all of these things are leading me to assume, guys, that we can actually see that double top scenario playing out, which is the bottom of that golden box, the reversal box that I have, or we could see that this peak right here accentuate itself to about 35,000 before actually genuinely rolling over and heading back down to the 4-hour 200 at which would probably be about 32,000 at the time. So with all of that being said, with the traditional markets and the way the traditional markets are looking currently, that just goes to show me or tell me, and I just have to play to the edges of the immediate short term for BTC. And the immediate short term ranges for me right now with BTC is that 16,450 line, which is this thicker red line down here. Once we come back up and we test this line again, when we interact with this line, it would basically be our confirmation to either the upside or downside. So let me actually go ahead and draw in that price path for you guys of what I could see with the neutrality in the traditional markets and BTC kind of wanting to do weird things and just kind of make as much money off people shorting and doing weird things like that. So we seen this move, right? We got an accelerated downside move. We literally might come back, like we might stay down here, right, and get right back up above it, top our head at 16,700, come back down to 16.45, and just for it does not have to be a long, it could literally be an hour candlestick, come back down and retest that line and then get a blast up and come check this 17,500 line that me and Kobe have been talking about for quite some time. And with that bullish move, it would actually be a slightly either a double top scenario playing out with, let me actually draw this in with the trend line. It'll be something like this at the top of this box. I could potentially see us tagging the top of this box. But if we can get above this with positive momentum, just because the 4 hours rolled over and the daily is still on its way trickling up and up and up and up, I would not be surprised if BTC had a little explosion, just because, again, like I said last week, that little price suppression that we talk about, price when it suppresses can explode in one or two ways. This, guys, this little downside move, that is not an explosion to the downside. This is just a, getting people out of their positions downside move. This is not an actual explosive downside move. An explosive downside move would be something like this, guys. This right here would be an example of a downside move, an explosive downside move. This right here, we have not seen anything close to that just yet, and I don't think we actually will, just with the traditional markets looking like they're not rolling over quite just yet. So I don't see BTC rolling over anytime soon too. However, you never know, we could continue to keep falling, break this trend line here and make new lows. But again, guys, our edge to the market right now currently is the 16,450 line, this line right here, this top of this box, that line right there. So we need to see how we interact with this line. So the two plays that I'm currently looking at getting into, right, would either be this little range right here, would be our interaction between this little golden circle here. And if we come up in a bearish way, right, if we kind of get price to come up to that line, right? And I'm actually just going to go ahead and not use a path, kind of draw it in. If we kind of just do something like this and our momentum is still kind of more downward pressure, we could roll over, right, and spill. However, the other point that I could, the other point, like I said, that could happen is just a roll over, get above, boom, boom, and right back to that range. So this line is 16,000 450 line is the line to currently play off of, guys. It moved slightly from this, 17,000 line, then it's 17,700 line, and now it's 16,450. So again, remember, price suppressing, it continues to keep compressing. So this move is going to be explosive. It's either going to be to the upside or to the downside. And our edge right now in the smaller time frames is a 16,450 line. So as the day continues to keep progressing, guys, I would keep my eyes focused on that 16,450 line and make trades according to that line. I hope you guys have a blessed day today. Today's Monday. Thank God it's Monday, like ET says. So stay humble, stay hungry, stay disciplined, guys. Peace.